What's up, everybody? Got a new little video coming to y'all this morning, this afternoon actually. Got my mums and my other winter plants planted this weekend. Had a little bit of area where I needed to touch up the pine straw, and well, y'all know you can't just put fresh pine straw down in one bale. So I got the whole yard re-pine strawed because I needed to put about half a bale out. But what I'm working on now is I got these canna lilies out of my mom's yard earlier this year when we redid some beds in her area, and didn't really have anywhere to put them at the time, and so I planted them in front of my irises and my azaleas, and well, obviously they get really tall, so they're blocking all the other shrubs and my irises. So at this point, I think it's a good time for me to go ahead and trim them down, and I'm gonna move them over to the fence line where I'll show you next. Before we go to the fence line, I wanted to kind of give a better view of these lilies. When I got them, they were freshly mowed over because the landscaping people are winners, and they made it to about 4 feet this year. So I feel like that's pretty incredible. They also multiplied, like I could not believe how much they multiplied. So I pulled about 2 feet worth of them, and I've already filled up a 5-gallon bucket. So yeah, let's go over and check out the fence line. So I edged and then weed eated this section of my fence line, probably about, I don't know, 25-30 yards long. Round upped it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, so it's nice and dead now. Up there you can see where I've already turned about half of it to get all the dead grass and clippings out of it. So probably gonna add a little bit of black dirt in here because it's kind of a high clay content. So just want to be sure it looks good when we get done. So while I'm sitting here breaking up these bulbs, I wanted to talk about something I've been thinking about doing. We were just talking about my mom's yard, and growing up, we always worked in the yard Saturdays, and I don't do that anymore because I got ball games and stuff with the kids on Saturdays, but I like doing my yard work during the week. But at any rate, they always had a yard of the month sign that would go around the neighborhood, right? And so this neighborhood was a pretty, what we would call a cliquey neighborhood, right? There was people there that were doctors and from old money, and then there were people like my parents that just liked to have a really nice house and worked hard, and that was what we had, was our house and our yard, right? And so we never got the yard of the month when I was a kid. And that was always kind of like a running joke, was that because we weren't part of the crew or part of the clique, we weren't never going to get that yard of the month. And, we were the only folk out there actually doing our own yard work, really. I mean, there were a few other people that were doing their yard work, but the people that were getting the yard of the month sign were ones that were paying landscapers to do their yard work. And, I mean, I know that their yards look nice, and their yards were some of the nicest in the neighborhood. It just hits a little bit different when you've been out here in the dirt pulling weeds every afternoon, pouring your, not blood, sweat, and tears, but you know what I'm saying, into the yard, make it look nice, and then somebody that just paid somebody to do it gets the prize. But I'll have you know, they've lived in that house about 20, let's call it 15 or 20 years now. And last spring we actually got yard of the month, and that's a big deal for us. And so something that I've been thinking about doing is, now that I'm living in my own house, got my own yard, I've been thinking about starting a yard of the month club in my own neighborhood. But obviously I'm going to do it a lot different than my parents' neighborhood did. Sorry, I had to reposition to get to the next layer of plants. So yard of the month sign, here's what I'm thinking. I want to run this by some other people to see what y'all think about this. So I'm gonna make a sign. It's gonna be a nice sign out of wood. I got a laser engraver so I can make a nice wooden sign. Make it to where it can go in somebody's yard. Okay. So I'm gonna start it off. I make the sign, and I'm gonna go put it in somebody's yard in my neighborhood. And it's gonna say yard of the month, Cardinal Ridge on it, right? And then on the back, it's gonna kind of have a how this works badge on the back, a little explanation. And the way it's going to work is whoever got yard of the month last month is obviously got a good looking yard, right? So they know what a good looking yard looks like. So in turn, they're probably a pretty good judge of what a yard of the month would look like. So my idea is that you get the yard of the month this month, you decide who gets it next month. And you know, we're not part of a HOA here. We don't have big block parties, but you know, in times especially like these today, I really feel like we need to band together on something that's positive as a group instead of having division. And I really just think that'd be a good idea. So, you know, if y'all kind of let me know if that sounds crazy. I mean, the only part that I'm struggling with is, you know, some people don't like the idea of you putting something in their yard, and I understand that. So this sign's not going to be one that you actually put in the dirt. I'm going to weld up a frame that it'll sit on. It'll be kind of like a sandwich sign that you see in front of a shop in town, where it just sits A-frame style. Be nice and heavy, and you know, I feel like that'll probably get around the fact that some people are weird. And I understand you don't want stuff in your yard, but hey, it's an award, so I always like a good award. So let me know what y'all think about that. But for now, I'm gonna finish getting these bulbs broken up, and I'll bring you back in when I'm ready to plant some of them. All right, so I got them all planted. I got a double row all the way down the fence line. Admittedly, it looks a little bit like a double row of corn, but at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and spread some pine straw over it, and we'll see what happens in the coming time. So, you know, I know people are probably gonna say something along the lines of, well, how are you gonna service your fence in the future? Because these will grow, you know, 4 to 5 feet tall, so, or 3 to 4 feet tall. So I'll just cut them down to the base. That'll probably be in about 3 years. They'll need to be split anyway, so I'm not really concerned about that. And something that my dad said about the yard of the month is, you know, well, are you doing this so you can get yard of the month? And you know, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, but it's also because I just know that we need something like that in times like these. And well, you know, people say in times like these, but really just mean anytime people need recognition and a sense of community involvement. So with that, I know this wasn't a woodworking video, but most of my videos don't seem to be. Hope everybody has a great day. One more little trick before we go. I know a lot of people, when they spread pine straw, they may not know this little tip. This is something that my mom taught me how to do. If you have this is called watering in your pine straw. So you'll see it's really high and fluffy right now because I just spread it. So what you do is you put your sprayer on full, or if you're using a standard sprayer, you just pull it all the way. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna actually weight down pine straw by watering it in. So that makes it look kind of a little bit less unkept. So hope everybody has a great day. If you like this, you know, maybe consider subscribing to see more random videos like this. Hope everybody has a great one.